If I could just add in, I mean, the bill that Senator Gallo has before the Senate is just absolutely an amazing piece of legislation. I mean, it will be transformative for the students and the teachers and the staff that work in our schools in the state, right? And that alone is absolutely amazing. But the fact that we are using our school construction process to meet the goals of the Act on Climate is just, that is like the pinnacle of what makes smart policy in the state. And I think with Senator Gallo's leadership and Senator Cano's leadership on the Education Committee, and really emphasizing how all of these things fit together to meet the goals of the Act on Climate, is something that the leadership, with Senator Ruggiero and Senator McCaffrey and, you as chairs, have really shown that this is how you get things done in a state. Because as we learned in the 2018 school bond, we borrowed $250 million, but it generated almost $1.5 billion worth of construction. So now if we borrow a little bit more, $300 million, maybe we get closer to $2 billion of construction costs. And since we're building in those environmental standards, Senator Gallo is absolutely right. It would be counterproductive. It would be fiscally imprudent if a local community didn't want to get all of the reimbursement from the state that they would have accessible to them. So even in those communities that may have a little bit of reluctance to build a carbon-free school, because they're mindful of the bottom line, now, because of Senator Gallo's leadership, the bottom line is to go carbon neutral by 2030. And it's what an opportunity.
Thank you, Pat. I could have not said that better. And Senator Gallo, I really appreciate you taking a step back and really recognizing, also adding yourself to that, the leadership that is in this room. I think when I think about the work that has been in front of us, it's been years coming in terms of the Act on Climate. So applauding you all for getting that really transformative piece of legislation, because it's really paving the road, I think, for the things that are in front of us today. And when we think about implementing the Act on Climate, this is all part of it, right? It's all hands on deck, all the tools, all the policies, thinking about also what complements legislation and how we implement it through the regulatory process as well. But when I think about our school buildings and we think about the work ahead of us in decarbonizing our building sectors, it's really a no-brainer with schools all around. When we think about it's not only great for jobs, it not only gives us a tangible way of meeting the first interim target of the Act on Climate, really getting to significant carbon emission reductions, and that is 45% by 2030. So that is fast approaching. So when we have these tangible solutions in front of us, I have to say, as an advocate, I'm all here to support those and move those forward, because that is what we need, and we need a lot more of that. And I think that also applies to the renewable energy standard. Thank you, Senate President, for championing that bill. We really need to look at those drivers in terms of how do we continue to advance offshore wind. And when I think about that policy, it's just so simple and so cost effective in saying, why not? We can do it. We can get to 100% renewable energy standard by 2030. So all these things are really aligning very well. And also to Senator Don Oyer, when we think about offshore wind, I think I've always appreciated your passion for what is so, I think, homegrown to us, being the first in the nation and really with that first offshore wind project. But we wanna stay right ahead, I think, because we can show the rest of the region and also the rest of the nation how we can not only meet our Act on Climate targets, but also how we can build the economy that's resilient and also sustainable, where we have communities that are healthy. And the last point that I wanted to make, I think when we're thinking about all of these things, all of these policy drivers, I appreciate that my colleague and new friend Pat Crowley brought up environmental justice, really thinking about the equity component of these issues. And I think going back to Senator Gallo's proposal for making sure we decarbonize all schools by 2030, if we can push solutions like that and not only apply the climate lens and also the job growth lens to that, but also the equity framework, and acknowledging that there are communities that are disproportionately impacted by pollution and that have really truly bearing the brunt of a fossil fuel based economy and that are facing health risks. So if we can really target those investments in those areas that are needed the most, and I know that came up also with the PFAS bill, I think we are really paving the way for how we transform an economy and how we also undo some of those wrongs.